you?
I'm terrific. Jocelyn, it's good to be with you.
It's good to be with you also. It's been a while since I've seen you, and so much has happened this year. There's so much that's going on, but even most exciting is that we are in our 20th anniversary, our 20th year of the Charlotte chapter of the International Coach Federation, and you were very instrumental in helping to get this chapter chartered.
Well, there were a group of us that worked on it, so I was glad to be a part of that.
Yeah, so great group of folks have really helped us to get to where we are as a chapter, and we are a very strong chapter. So we look at all of the folks who have, who have been presidents and have been on the board. And again, just first of all, I want to say thank you for all of you for helping to make the chapter what it is, and just want to spend a couple of minutes talking with you. We've got a good number of people in the chapter, and we want them to hear from each of the chapter presidents about their experience and their journey and anything that they can glean from that as coaches. And so first question that I would really like to ask you is, where do you see the future of coaching going?
Wow, you start with the big question. So, I think when I think about getting involved formally in coaching around 1998, 99, and where coaching has evolved and beginning to kind of think about where it might evolve in the future, I see such a great trajectory, and it in so many ways. And one being the fact that chapters like the one in Charlotte give a community, a place for people to gather, to support each other, to develop and grow. And certainly for those of us that were fortunate enough to be part of that founding of the local chapter, that was a lot of what we were doing, was just building relationship, building our skills, building our network, not necessarily to build our business, but to build ourselves and our capacity to serve others and collaborate with each other. Very much about sharing what was going on. Since then, certainly organizations like International Coach Federation have evolved and changed, and others have grown as well. We've been fortunate. Some of us were involved in creating we ran for a few years a research symposium through the ICF that was attempting to look at how does research and the theory back up the practice of coaching. And I still am a believer that as we think about the future, part of it is the professionalization of coaching. And I don't mean it in terms of just a code of conduct or defining a set of skills that are practiced, but truly developing a body of knowledge that informs the practice of coaching. And I have this dream that someday coaching will be a foundational body of knowledge and will be something that's defined.
Yeah.
And I think we've also seen more, coaching being international and coming to terms with the distinctions between coaching and mentoring and therapy, as an example. Although I think those lines are often blurred and perhaps continue to be blurred and should be blurred. I'm not sure where that's going. What I do know is that more and more people are using coaching skills, and that's been a big change, because I think, 20 years ago, we were talking about coaching as this thing that was held by people who were, quote, professional coaches. And what we've realized is that coaching is a skill set as well as a mindset, and it can be a profession. And for some people, it's their livelihood. And for some people, it's the way they show up. And for some people, it's a skill set that they use, whether they're being a parent or being a manager, a leader, or being in some other kind of role. It's a skill set. So that's all kind of background things. But when I think about where things are going, I think technology has evolved. I took some coach training early on that was all by phone. We didn't even have technology like this to use.
Right.
So in a way, we've come back to electronic mediated communication versus the in-person. And I think we're seeing the evolving nature of having coaching be more accessible to people, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
I keep hoping that we'll have more grounding and more research and more real evidence-based to support the practice of coaching. But I do think that we're going to see the proliferation, and I hope we see the proliferation of coaching skills into many more places, and it's not just held by a few, but it's held by many. So.
That's awesome. And you've actually answered the second question I was going to ask you, really around the impact of technology and coaching, because, you know, when we first started out, most of the coaching was face-to-face, and then for a period of time, we, you know, integrated coaching over the phone, and now technology, you know, gives us the opportunity to reach our clients no matter where they are.
Yeah, yeah, well, it's true. And now we have to do it because out of necessity. And in fact, I think early days of thinking about ICF, most of the coaching was not done in person, it was done by phone. And executive coaching, senior leader coaching was done often in person, but a lot of it was done by phone. And, you know, we developed a set of listening skills that I think are important to learn and continue to be. And now we're learning how to read people's facial expressions and their experiences in this kind of visual way that's different. You know, how do we develop emotional intelligence and the ability to have reading emotional intelligence or reading emotions intelligently, I should say, in this kind of mediated communication mode as well. But you know, the great thing is technology is our friend if we embrace it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, having done this work for a good period of time, what has coaching taught you that you otherwise would not have known?
You know, I'm a believer that the best coaching comes when I am first aware of myself. And so, you know, I've learned a lot about who I am, and therefore what do I bring, and sometimes what I don't bring and what I have to develop. I remember early on in my days of the practice of coaching, it was that how often I would find that the agendas that were showing up in my clients, or at least that I was recognizing, were issues I needed to be dealing with for myself. I kind of kept track of those, and I'd say, you know, I've seen this 2 or 3 times now in the last few weeks. There must be something to this. And what I came to realize is that was me showing up as much as it was my clients showing up. And I think, you know, we got to work. I've got a colleague who says we got to work our junk. We got to work our own stuff first. Yeah. And so, you know, developing that, I think another piece is just this notion of developing the skill. And this is an ongoing piece for me, is as a practitioner and as an academic and as an educator, I'm constantly looking at how do I hone the skill. I think mastery is something that we continuously evolve. We don't start out as masters. We start out as novices. And frankly, I don't know that I can call myself a master, you know, after 20 plus years. I think I find myself as an evolving practitioner, and that's a journey. So I hope to keep learning.
Yeah, definitely is a journey, and I think this is really good information to share, particularly having been working in this field for such a long period of time. That in particular, new coaches or those who want to become coaches, you know, to hear that the learning is continuous and we're always learning about ourselves and we're always growing. And while we're doing that, we're also able to serve our clients even better.
Yeah. Well, and doing that in a way that it's not about, the focus is not about learning for yourself, although that happens. You know, keeping focus on the client, the client's needs. And the question I ask often is who I am showing up as either a propeller that's moving things forward, or is it a boat anchor that's putting things on hold? And so as I think about how do I use myself as an instrument through the process of coaching, is real challenge and real opportunity for us. And as novice coaches, you know, when I teach students, the graduate students, and I do training programs on coaching, what I'm often reminded of is that if the basic skill of listening and asking 1 or 2 powerful questions in service of somebody's agenda, you're coaching. And you don't have to have all the bells and whistles, and it doesn't have to be, you know, sophisticated. You're doing good. And that's what coaching is about.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, I'll tell you, I have certainly learned a little bit more talking to you this afternoon. And again, I just really want to say thank you for everything that you have done for the chapter, everything that you do help coach and also to develop new coaches coming into the field. And so we thank you again for being a part of this chapter and for helping us celebrate our 20th anniversary.
Well, thank you. And I would just add a comment about that beginning. You know, it was a humble beginning that we had as a formalization of a chapter, and even the question about, should we do that? And what does that mean if we get so sophisticated we become an organization versus a group of people who gathered? And I was not part of the initial group that gathered, but I'm sure you're talking to some who were. And what I know when I jumped on the bandwagon of that group of people was they were accepting. They were inviting, and you know, that spirit of cooperation and collaboration and helpfulness, I think is really often what I see is lost when people get into the focus on making $1 off coaching as opposed to making a difference through coaching. And so I'm glad that the chapter has continued to thrive, and look forward to seeing it thrive even more. I recommend to our students that they get involved, that they get not only as a seat at the table, but they also get in a driver's seat when it's appropriate, because I think we have to show leadership, and you're one of those. So thank you for your leadership.
Well, thank you. And thank you for guiding me through the ICF coaching chapter, and that spirit continues. So wish you a great rest of the day and look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care, John.